of another defeat, with Aston Villa getting the better of Arsenal by 1-0. The goal coming in the opening 2 minutes. Ollie Watkins striking after good work from Traore and poor defensive work from Arsenal. The Gunners huffed and puffed in the second half, created chances, not enough clear-cut opportunities. The best falling to Ødegaard, who blazed over. And when you look at the stats, Adrian, one would suggest that Villa will say, well, we had the shots on target, we created chances on the breakaway, and maybe they deserve the win. I don't quite see it that way, but it's another defeat nonetheless for Arsenal.
Very disappointing result, isn't it? On the back of a hard luck story at Wolves, I think this isn't what we were looking for. We were looking for that really positive reaction, and we huffed and we puffed, and it was better in the second half. But I think Arsenal deserved a point out of the game. I felt it was a fairly even affair, but we didn't do enough to win this game, in my opinion. Didn't defend with enough security at key moments, and really, despite piling on the pressure, we didn't really open up Aston Villa in the way that I think we're capable of. So it's a frustrating one. It's not a hard luck story today. It's more a case of we could do better.
Strange, isn't it? Because we had the ball in dangerous areas an awful lot. But as you say, those key opportunities and the big moments in the game, they weren't really forthcoming for Arsenal. We didn't unlock Aston Villa clinically enough on that many occasions. And the Ødegaard effort was the one that really stood out for me.
It did for me as well. I think that was the best chance. I think statistically, according to Opta's XG, it was a Smith Rowe chance that was the best. But for me, Ødegaard is the one that we should score from. This, I think, tells us plenty about the performance, particularly in the second half. This is, crosses from open play. It's a stream of red, isn't it? And red is unsuccessful. Chucked in there, you've got one successful one and one key pass actually from Saka. So not good enough with the final ball. I think Villa did defend those balls across the face of goal very well, actually. Something that they're good at with Mings and Konza. But I like the way that we created overloads out wide, particularly in the second half. But from there, I think we've got to be a bit more clinical. We've got to pick out a better pass, a better final ball, and also when it comes across, we've got to get across our men to finish off those chances. So yeah, really, really frustrating. For all of Arsenal's pressure, they didn't go above one expected goal here. They dipped underneath, and that has to go down as a real disappointment.
Yeah, 68% possession as well, just looking at some of the stats as well. We got criticised for all the crosses against Spurs earlier this season in a defeat. I saw Manchester City with an awful lot of crosses in a defeat that they succumbed to earlier this season. Have we got to look for a different way? Is it that simple, or is it just the quality wasn't there?
These weren't long crosses. We got into good areas, and they were more like pullbacks and cutbacks and balls along the face of goal. On another day, we could have profited from them, but I think that we didn't open up enough space. We didn't drag Villa defenders out of position quickly enough to create those clear-cut openings. They always had a packed penalty area when we did deliver crosses, whether they were short range or long range. That box was always full up. So that, I think, was a problem. I have to say, when Aubameyang came on, the impact was minimal, really, as a striker. Looking for a bit more energy from him, and we didn't really play to his strengths potentially. I think that sometimes we could have drawn Villa on and looked to spring transitions where we slide Aubameyang in down the middle, and we never looked like doing that, unfortunately. So yeah, I think as an attacking force today, we hit the brick wall far too often. And he made some bold changes, Mikel Arteta, but you have to say ultimately it didn't come off.
Oba looked a bit ring rusty, didn't he, when he came on? Are we lacking a striker at the moment? It seems ridiculous with Oba and Lacazette. Are we we're just lacking someone massively in form, or who's got that little bit of guile inside the area? Oba just looked off the pace, didn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't Lacazette's day. I think Lacazette's been playing pretty well. I thought he was really good in the first half at Wolves, and in general his form's been good. But he was quiet today. But maybe that was just the way Arsenal were playing. We didn't really utilise Lacazette, by the way. That I think he was unlucky not to get a penalty. I've seen.
Yeah, I saw one or two social media things there. I mean, in real time, I didn't really see it. Was it a penalty?
It looks. Look, he's standing in front of Emi Martinez. He's sort of just leans his body in, but nothing more. But then Emi effectively drags him to the deck. For me, it's a penalty and a red card, and I feel disappointed that it wasn't given. But look, I don't want to say that's the reason Arsenal lost the game. I think we could have played better. It wasn't a disaster, as David Hillier was saying. No one played terribly today, but not enough players played well. I mean, the man of the match clearly it has to be Matt Ryan. And that probably speaks volumes in terms of what we did inside the final third, which was decent up until a point. We lack that in product.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Matt Ryan shortly, but we're going to kick off our three things talking about Bukayo Saka first and foremost, because we highlighted it very briefly at the break. Bukayo Saka needs more protection after being targeted once again by the opposition. Now, it is a sign of a good player. We know that, and plenty on social media have been highlighting that. But also, it's something that, has to stop. We've got to try and get beyond it. We hope that referees protect the talented players. As you can see here, various tweets coming in. The way Saka is targeted so blatantly and cynically feels so wrong. I mean, there's no doubt about that, but Jack Grealish gets targeted for Aston Villa. All the good players have always been targeted for a long, long time. I think we notice it a little bit more now. And you tend to get that situation where different players will target the same opposition player so they don't pick up bookings. But certainly in that first half, we saw it, didn't we, with Saka?
We do, yeah, we did. I think there were some cynical fouls on him. And referees could protect him more. Hopefully it's something they'll pick up on, get a bit stricter with the opposition by dishing out cards. Not at the third foul, but the first one, like it seems to happen to us on numerous occasions. So yeah, I think referees can play their part, but Bukayo's just got to live with it and find ways to beat those guys, and he will do. And it's not a problem moving forwards. It's a sign of respect, I think, towards Bukayo Saka. He's getting targeted. What I will say, excuse me, what I will say is that if you have players that are being targeted for fouls, then you've got to make more use of the free kicks. You have to make more use of those set pieces in and around the opposition half, certainly inside the final third. You've got to become a team that score more times from wide free kicks. I can't remember the last time we scored from a wide free kick. We're playing a lot of short free kicks at the moment, moving the ball. It frustrates me a little bit because I don't know how often that's going to come off. I think it's good to try new things, but yeah, we've got to become a better set piece team if our best players are going to be hacked down on a regular basis inside the final third. We've got to make teams pay in a different way, and that is something we can 100% work on.
One thing I like about Saka as well, Adrian, that it never seems to affect his game. He looks like the type of player who will run through a brick wall for you because he gets clipped, his ankles get bashed, his foot gets stamped on, but he gets back up if he can and just wants to play on. He doesn't shy away from an enforcer or a fullback that might potentially think that they can get the better of him either mentally or physically by dishing it out. He just wants to play and will just still take it to them.
Yeah, he's got a great attitude. He's loving life, isn't he? He's been one of the Premier League's best players this season. Certainly one of the best young players. He's got to be a runner for Young Player of the Year. So look, he's enjoying himself. He's got the right mentality. He will find a way to cope with it. But yeah, again, it's one of those. It's frustrating, but it's not the reason we lost the game.
One reason we didn't lose the game either was the performance of debut boy Matt Ryan. The second thing I think that we've learnt from today is that he has proved, hopefully in this one appearance, and we don't know how many times he's going to play for us over the course of this campaign, that he is a very able number two, because he made some really good saves, some on the counter, different types of saves as well. Adrian, he had a really good game today.
He did, yeah. Again, it goes back to that, Villa had counters on us. We didn't have counters on them. That was the type of chances they created. Ours was all, sustained pressure. But yeah, look, the people that are tweeting in are very, very positive about Matt Ryan, showing that they've made a good choice in bringing him in as a number two. He made some great saves. I think most of the saves were ones you'd expect, but the one from Jack Grealish was fiercely hit, and I think a lower ranked keeper might easily have let that one slip past him. He could have been an absolute hero today with that performance. Multiple saves, flying saves, and the goal was unlucky, wasn't it? I think he probably would have saved the original shot for the goal were it not for the deflection, because he had the outstretched left leg that I thought was covering it. So yeah, he could have been the absolute hero, but for me, he was Arsenal's best player today.
I must admit, he did a great job. I thought his anticipation was good, and some of the saves. It's that classic case, isn't it? If you're not a keeper, you think, oh, that's an easy save, but he was making fairly difficult saves look comfortable.
I think you make a really good point there, yeah, and I'd like to see those saves again. But yeah, it was like he anticipated. He was one step ahead. He thought, yeah, Grealish is going to go to my left here, and I'm already on the move. And he pulled off some great saves because of that. Yeah, I agree. I think he looked really sharp. His distribution is good as well. We knew that from his time at Brighton. So look, Bernd Leno will come back into the team. I've got no doubt about that. But Matty Ryan has proven that he can be a terrific number 2. And look, the aim for him now, obviously this is a loan move. The aim for him is to impress enough on the rare times he gets a game or in training, enough for Arsenal to say, you know what, we're not going to go and buy a different number 2. We'll buy you instead.
Now, we always like to be positive, of course, on the breakdown because we are Arsenal forward thinkers. But our third thing is that we have missed an opportunity here, haven't we? Because we could have gone above Spurs with a win, obviously, and off the back of that defeat to Wolves, we were looking to bounce back. And although the performance in parts was there to date, and we're first up as well, you always think, first up across a Premier League weekend, if you can get your points on the board, and we haven't got a game next midweek because it's FA Cup as well, we could set our stalls out for Leeds in 8 days' time, and Mikel Arteta can, get the players on the training ground for an extensive period of time, which he might not have been able to do for quite a lot of weeks. But it just feels like we've missed that opportunity today. Obviously.
It does. We would have gone above Spurs had we won, which would have been a real morale booster, obviously, for the team. And it just sends out a message, doesn't it? But now we've lost 1-0. We lost the previous game 2-1. Forget the hard luck story. We still lost the game. And the previous game was a goalless draw. So 2 blanks in terms of goals in the last 3 games. So all those positives are kind of, when you look at the league table, and by the time we next play in the Premier League, all those positives that we sort of felt will count for nothing in terms of points tally. We'll probably be in the bottom half again come next weekend. So that's a tough game against Leeds United side that went to Leicester, of course, recently and beat them handily. So that's not going to be an easy game for us either. So yeah, look, it's tough. It is tough. We've got to stay mentally strong. Hope that Thomas Partey's injury isn't too bad, and regroup and just and find a way to find a way to get better results. I think the big disappointment for Mikel Arteta today is that he tried things off the bench. He went a little bit, off piece, so to speak, with changing the formation, moving players from the left and the right, and it could have been a dream for him. It could have worked brilliantly, but it didn't. And so for him, it's like, right, what is the best framework for the team moving forward? So yeah, he's got some tough calls to make over the next 7 days or so before we go again, and we have to go again. There is still enough time left in this season for us to clamber back into the European spots, but we need a winning run now. An unbeaten run probably isn't going to be enough. We need to string 3 points on 3 points on 3 points to really start to make up lost ground. So yeah, I'm really disappointed about today's result. The performance was so-so. It was okay, but I think we all expected this to be a big performance from Arsenal after what we've seen in the first 45 at Wolves.
I completely agree with that. I feel there's a better framework for Arsenal at the moment that there was maybe earlier in the season when Arsenal were dropping points in similar sort of fashion that we have done over the last 3 games. I feel that Arsenal are moving in the right direction a little quicker. And on another day, this could have been a fairly straightforward 2-0 win with no one pulling up any trees and no one really saying, well, he was fantastic. It was a mundane performance in some ways. It could have gone in our favour. I'm not too dispirited looking forward. But with games sort of running out, I guess, I know we've still got an awful lot left because the season started later, but it does just ramp up that pressure a bit more.
It does, and it ramps up the pressure on Arteta's for his team selection, because for me, our best team at the moment is Partey and Xhaka in the midfield. So I wouldn't change it.
Is it still with Smith Rowe, with Pepe?
Well, I think it is.
And with Saka, is it that quartet up front?
But then where does Aubameyang fit in? Because Aubameyang at striker hasn't impressed as much as Lacazette has at striker. So for me, Lacazette, even though he wasn't brilliant today, would start up top, and Pepe played better than Aubameyang today. He did. Aubameyang had half an hour. Pepe had far more involvements throughout the second half than he did. Saka is our main man really at the moment, and Smith Rowe for me is playing pretty well. You could leave Smith Rowe out for an Ødegaard, for a Willian, well, not a Willian, for an Ødegaard or maybe a Martinelli. Martinelli is another option up top. I was disappointed actually that he didn't come off the bench today, Martinelli. I felt if we were going to put someone on the left, I would have put him there instead of William. But yeah, it's some tough calls for Arteta. He might have to hold his nerve and go again with the same team and just risk the criticism that might come with it. But he's got to go with what he feels is the best front four.
But I think we saw that a little bit today, because the players that stayed on were Smith Rowe, were Saka, were Pepe. Now, dial that back just a few weeks and that would not have happened.
No, it wouldn't.
And I guess if you're getting Martinelli in ahead of Oba off the bench, that is a huge call. Aubameyang is a fantastic goal scorer. We know that. I think it's so rare to see him coming off the bench. And in a situation like this, when space was going to be at a premium in around the penalty area, he didn't get involved in the game. There's some huge calls to make, and I think I would suggest that Mikel Arteta is more likely to stick with what he's got at the moment because it feels right.
Yeah.
And if that means Oba's on the bench for the next game or Lacazzette's on the bench, but I'm almost convinced that we've got 8 days, so fatigue's not going to be an issue with Saka, Smith Rowe, and Pepe. I don't want to say they've all got to start, but I'm nearly that way.
Well, look, Mikel Arteta, we know he's a good coach. He's got 8 days now. He's got 8 days to work on the training pitch, come up with a plan for Leeds United, who are very unique opponents to face anyway, and come up with a plan and a way to beat them, to slice them apart. And I wish him the best of luck. The players have just got to keep their morale up, not let the chins hit the floor. There have been enough positives in recent games for them to stay buoyant, but today was a setback. It was a mediocre display when we were all hoping for a big step in the right direction. It didn't quite happen.
Last set piece goal, incidentally, I've just been informed by our producer, was Gabriel against Wolves in the Premier League. We had so many today, didn't we? We seem to have a plan with them as well, because there's plenty of short corners, plenty of touches from free kicks before we whip the ball in. I don't know, it just didn't work. There was just an nth off every single thing that we tried today, just to sum up for us. It
was. And look, if we become a proper set piece team, a team that are dynamite from corners and wide free kicks, the bonus goals that it gives you is unbelievable. So I think it's well worth working on them. We've got to find the right set piece takers. I'm not 100% sure we've got the right set piece takers at the moment. We might need to shake things up on that.
Yeah, we might do. One final thing before we call it a draw for today, or a defeat as it is. Who won the XG competition? Do we know, Adrian?
You did, my friend. Yeah, 1.9 it finished. So
do I get a point for that in the whole scheme of things?
Just you get an imaginary point if that counts. I don't know how much that means to you, but yeah, you can glow in the glory of that imaginary point until we meet again.
It's like a friendly win. It's like a practice match win ahead of a big game next week, I think. AD, many thanks for your company today. Adrian Clarke, of course, will be back with us for the game against Leeds next weekend. That's when Arsenal are next in action. No midweek fixture because we're out of the FA Cup. No points today, unfortunately, but there were some positives, and hopefully we'll get that win against Leeds at home next Sunday. From all of us on The Breakdown, though, it is goodbye. We'll see you then.